Simply Safe Home Security is like getting commercial-grade, enterprise-level security, but for your own home. Think about the security Fortune 500 companies use. They need to know police will be on scene immediately. This is exactly the kind of security you get with Simply Safe. If there's a break-in, they use real video evidence to give police an eyewitness account of the crime. Go to simplysafe.com/DTH today for a 60-day risk-free trial and free shipping.
What's the one thing you've never told anyone? People just like you tell all in a podcast called The Secret Room. If you're a true story fan and you cannot get enough of people's most intimate dreams, desires, and shame, you will love The Secret Room. Like Mila's deathbed confession that her daughter's absent father is a movie star.
I wish I could tell someone who the father is while I'm still on Earth.
Or Jen's secret love affair with a man on death row.
It's turned my world upside down, and something he just did has devastated me.
Or the way that Joey falls in love with inanimate objects.
I know people who were in relationships with construction equipment.
People all around you carry the most amazing secrets. You're invited to The Secret Room for a front row seat to spectacular stories that will touch you, jar you, and amaze you. I'm Ben Ham, your host. Search for The Secret Room, a podcast about the stories no one ever tells.
To see some of the people and places we'll be talking about this season and to learn more about the case, visit our website, downthehillpodcast.com.
What does it mean to you to see this memorial when you come out here?
This intersection's tough for me. It will always be tough for me. I can close my eyes and I can see him. You know, I can see he came from the left side over here and laughing and joking and cutting up like two young girls do probably. And then they turn left and the world's about to change. Man, if they'd have just turned right. You know, not left. Yeah, whoever it is and whoever it was has stared at this nature reserve sign just like we are right now. I know that. Even if it was first day, he stood right here. Yeah.
You're the top cop in the state of Indiana. This happened in broad daylight. How unusual is that aspect?
I don't ever remember anything like this in my entire... I've been in this business 35 years, and I don't remember anything quite like this. This is just different for so many reasons. Just so many things have caused this to be different. And it doesn't minimize any other loss of a child or of a mom or a dad or friend or anybody, but the totality of this is different. Yeah.
Doug Carter is certain, absolute, without a doubt. We all know that murders go unsolved all the time. That's a familiar story. But here's why the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, 13 and 14 years old, are different. We can see who did it, we can hear who did it, but we still don't know who did it. Delphi, Indiana is a small place just north of Indianapolis with about 3,000 people. They'll tell you this kind of thing doesn't happen here. And they were right, until it did.
We're approaching the bridge now.
Damn.
What do you see as you look at it?
Him? I can see him standing right out there. I can see him standing right out there. I feel the same way every stinking time I come here. Gosh, dang it. You know, and then you look back this way and you see them walking here. You can see Abby and Livy just doing what girls do. Yeah, I'll be glad when this bridge is gone. Just listen. Nothing.
It's so quiet.
It's so peaceful. You know, and then what occurred right down there is just beyond evil, beyond what the human mind can understand. There's a reason this all happened. I just don't know what it is yet. I just don't know what it is. I don't know.
As you stand here today, are you convinced that this case is solvable?
Yes.
100%.
100%.
Nearly 3 years and close to 50,000 tips later, the murders of Abby and Libby, that's what their friends and family call them, are still unsolved. Investigators say the man who did this may be living among them in Delphi, sitting next to them in church, in line at the grocery store. What happened on the bridge, in those woods that day?
Has he done it before? Will he do it again?
There's a lot of evidence, a lot of tips.
Why isn't this solved? Police swear they're one tip away from doing just that.
Who has it? And will they ever come forward?
Over the course of the next 8 chapters, we're going to explore those questions with the people living it. Let's get started.
Police are also examining this Snapchat photo. It was taken just before both girls disappeared.
I made the announcement that the girls have been found and it was not to a good end.
We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play.
Law enforcement is saying that one of the girls actually took video on her iPhone. They say it was right before she was murdered.
It's amazing that we have a video, we have a still photograph, we have sound, and we don't know who this person is.
It could be half of the white males in Carroll County.
To the killer who may be in this room, we likely have interviewed you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will.
This is Down the Hill, the Delphi Murders. I'm Andrew Iden here at CNN Center in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm one of the hosts of this podcast alongside
Barbara McDonald, the other host.
And I'm Dan Semitovich. I'm producing this show. And before we get started, there are thousands and thousands of murders that go unsolved. What is it about this one? Why are we telling this story?
I think the answer is easy for me. It's the imagery. And, you know, I've worked at HLN since 2005, done hundreds of crime stories, and sometimes some just pop. Others just go along the rest of the way. This one, for me, the imagery, I don't remember a case having that. And that's really what jumped out at me.
And I remember those early days, and a lot of people were kind of captured by this story when it happened. And I think for me, what it was is the fact that this happened on a Monday afternoon in broad daylight. Mm-hmm. And parents always tell their kids, go in numbers, go together, you're safer that way. And these were 2 girls together. Yeah. And none of that mattered.
I'm coming into the story later than both of you. You were there for the beginning. And when I first heard about this and I started hearing the details, wow, how is this possible? And when I say that, I mean, there are so many things about this case that don't make sense. The biggest of which is, why isn't this solved? Because on the surface, you look at what's been put out there by authorities, the information available, and that includes a picture of the killer, a video of the killer, audio of the killer's voice. We know where this crime happened. We know when this crime happened, but somehow this has not been solved.
It's like a giant ink blot, and the more you look at it, the more you learn about it, you see different things. It changes your perspective. And, 5 people can look at this evidence and see dozens of different scenarios here.
It can be, literally, it can be whatever you want it to be. Mm-hmm. And, when you look at the photos, someone will say, oh, I see X. And it's like, yeah, sure. But I also see Y. And so there's no definitive answers to any of these possibilities.
One thing we do know is that all mysteries have solutions. And while we're not trying to solve this case, we are trying to make sense of it.
Absolutely. And we're going to take you there to Delphi over the course of the next 8 chapters. And we're going to introduce you to the people who lived this. And some of them have never told their story before. You're going to hear people who some never were asked to tell their story, and others were far too traumatized until now to be able to talk about it.
I think a lot of times in cases like this, there's a lot of focus on the family, as there should be, and there is. But one of the things that's interesting, I think, about how we're going to unfold this story is that there's a ripple effect that occurs when something like this happens, and especially in a community like Delphi. You've got, school kids who are trying to wrestle with the fact that there's an empty desk in their class. There are teachers who are trying to figure out, how do I talk to the class about what just happened, because they're not prepared. So we're going to actually get out into that community and talk to some of those people, and it's really interesting to hear how this has affected them and the ripple effect that that's all had on them.
And we're going to walk some of those key locations as well.
All in the service of really trying to answer 2 big questions. what the hell happened out there, and can this be solved?
We want to understand.
We want to understand. We want these pieces to make sense. And as you come along with us and see those shapes and how they may or may not fit together, you're going to have your own opinions too.
And they may change.
And they will change. But first you have to know what happened.
Part 1. Take a jacket.
I was at home and I had seen that they had posted that they were at the High Bridge, and I actually told my dad. I was just telling him about how I wanted to go there and how I thought it was so beautiful, because it's stunning there, and we were just having a conversation about them being there.
February 13th, 2017 was a Monday. A warm Monday, in fact. The kind of winter warm when kids don't wear jackets and parents demand they take them, just in case. It was the start of the week. Schools in Delphi would normally have been in session that day. But on this day, they worked. So Abby and Libby had a sleepover. And our story begins that Monday morning with Libby's older sister, Kelsey.
It was a snow makeup day that day, so that means that there hadn't been a lot of snow and we had an extra day that we got off of school, so they just made it a long weekend for us.
So I didn't go in to work until like 9 or 10 in the morning.
Carrie Timmons is Libby and Kelsey's mom. And just to clear up any confusion, she lives 262 miles away in Kentucky. She's a tough woman with a tattoo sleeve on her left arm in tribute to her daughter Libby.
And every morning I'd send Kelsey and Libby each a good morning, have a good day, Snapchat, text, message, something. And I had done that morning, put the girls on the bus, went about my normal getting ready for work and left. And Libby messaged me back, Snapchat, and she was in her bed. And I was like, what are you doing in bed? It's like 9 o'clock or whatever.
That morning, I woke up late and planned to go to my boyfriend's house and help him clean out his truck that they were getting ready to sell. And then after we cleaned it out, he was going to go to work and I was going to wait at his house and then go to work myself.
They didn't get up until probably close to 10 or so, and they wanted pancakes.
This is Becky Patty. Before we get too far, we should acknowledge the family dynamics are complicated here. Becky and her husband Mike are Kelsey and Libby's grandparents and also their legal guardians. And you'll hear a lot from them over the course of this story. But Kelsey and Libby's dad, Derek, also lives with them.
So Derek made them pancakes for breakfast. And then later on, Libby come out. She was bored. What can we do, Kelsey came out and said that she was going to her friend's house, and then she had to work.
And so I went upstairs and I started getting ready in our bathroom, and I very much remember her opening the door really wide with Abby behind her as I'm getting dressed. And she's like, hey, Kels, do you want to go to High Bridge today? And I'm like, Lib, I'm obviously getting ready to leave. I can't take you today. And a little while later, I was like, I've really been saying no to her a lot lately. So I went downstairs and I said, hey, if you can find a ride, and Grandma says, yes, I will take you. And she ended up asking Grandma, and Grandma said yes. And then she called my dad to pick her up. And that's when I agreed to take her.
And then she said that her dad would pick her up. So I said, okay. And that's when they were getting ready to leave, and Libby was standing at the door. And that's when I told her that you need to take a jacket. It's nice, but, who knows? You need to take a jacket. And that's when she looked at me and said, it's okay, Grandma. Gave me that smile, and off they went.
So when we left, Libby was sitting up front and Abby was in the back. Neither of them had brought sweatshirts, which was really confusing to me. So I actually ran back inside and got Abby one of mine. And Libby had one in my back seat since she always rode with me. So I made them take those. And then we turned Heathens by 21 Pilots up really loud. And they had the windows down and we were singing to it. And it's not a super far drive. So we got there pretty quick, it felt like. And then we stopped at the entrance to High Bridge. And I made sure they both had the sweatshirts that I told them to take. And I told Libby I loved her, and I watched them walk away.